So we'll call the meeting to order. We have, let me show you the a few additions to the agenda. And so nothing spectacular, but we have a big agenda today. So we got plenty of things to talk about. Let me, you should have gotten, excuse me. You should have gotten the minutes from Joan. And so this is the minutes from our October meeting. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes? I'm sorry, I took them off. Let me put them back.
There was something that sentence, some ways to capture missing emails. Yes. I was reminded of George's caution about making sure that there was nothing coercive about what we were doing, or, you know, that we had the backing of the law or something. And that sounded funny to me. We might say some ways to receive more emails, email addresses. That's the other qualification. The other
right.
thing.
That the addresses should be added to that.
Yeah, would be to ask cluster advisors to assist, or I mean something that makes it sound like there's nothing coercive about what we're doing here, or nothing backhanded.
Okay. Here comes Roger. Any suggestions on the verbiage? I had hoped to, like we said here, to use the cluster advisors to help with that. They had done that years ago. They had some forms that they sort of went around, and it had, you could write your email on that, and then we added that at that time. I can't remember exactly how we handled it. It was early on in our website experience, so we were just trying to get as many emails as possible, and at that time there weren't as many people that had email. Let's see, what could we say here?
Collect, Lynn, does collect work better than capture?
I'm sorry?
Collect rather than capture.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So some ways to collect missing email addresses from the
Yes.
approximately 100, using the census forms or using cluster advisors. Does that?
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Okay, I can revise that sentence.
How about some ways to collect missing email addresses, blah, blah.
That's what I was saying, yeah.
Yeah, I just made that change.
Yeah, I'm in the next line.
Are we okay with that?
Wait a minute. Or to use the census form, or to request it on the census form.
Okay.
Requests.
Yeah.
Or request permission.
Yeah.
Well, we need, yeah.
On. Okay.
Or collected by cluster advisors.
whatever, yeah. Or from cluster advisor.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. I think I've got those changes made. Can we have a motion to approve?
I move we approve the minutes.
Okay, thank you. Second?
Second.
Okay, we're approved. How do I save this? Ah, right here. Okay. Back to the agenda. We've got a website review, and I set out a report that was Google Analytics. Did everybody get that?
Yes,
As you can see, we had some interesting
activity.
yes, thank you. Let me minimize this. Here's the Google Analytics area, and here is the chart. This is from September 9th, I believe I put in there, to December 8th, so about 90 days. And you can see we had 3,000 users, or I guess not users, actually. No, I think this is users from Indonesia. And and actually, when you dig a little bit deeper, many of them come from a small, well, it's not a small town, I think it's a pretty big town, called Batam, B-A-T-A-M, which I think I explained in the report is a sort of a boom town. And it's right across the Straits of Singapore from Singapore. So I was sort of flummoxed, and so I did I did present a ticket to our support people. And you can see here, I said that we had an unusual number of hits from there. They replied, let me get all their replies there. They're very good about getting back very quickly. Usually I get a response within, well, here you can see the response was within 6 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes. They're very good about that. So I asked about security breaches. They said there weren't. Can everybody read this? Is it?
Yep.
Yeah. Good. So they said there wasn't. They thought it might be a bot, a web crawler, and they aren't doing anything that I'm aware of on our site. I did check with John and Maggie, and John jokingly replied that, yeah, we have thousands of investors interested from Indonesia, but they haven't seen any like people requesting information or anything else from Indonesia. So one of the things that the support people suggested was we could enable this IP blocking. This was in their fourth reply for the number 4 issue here or message here, to prevent them from visiting. But I said, how does that work? We would enable on our side to block anybody outside US users from access to the website directly. And of course, I replied that we have a number of owners from Canada, don't we, Jane? And
Yes.
several from Western Europe, and we don't want, how would an IP block? He said, yeah, he doesn't think we should turn it on. And so that
There doesn't seem to be anything nefarious going on.
right.
And how many contacts are there? I mean, it's an awful lot. I mean, how many hits are there from this BITAM?
Well,
3,000?
yeah, it looked like in the last 90 days there were over 3,000. But I think it may eventually go away or slow down. It's just interesting why, I guess other than a bot, is there something that attracted some people in Indonesia about Wildwood Springs, or is this just again sort of a crawler that just keeps hitting our site? The interesting thing was that I did a little bit of digging in, and most of the hits were using an Android device. So most of the hits were actually probably coming from a phone. So I'm just not quite sure, what's going on there, but I don't think, like you said, George, I don't think it's anything that we should be really concerned about. But it used to be in prior times, Google Analytics could actually identify the IP address that the hits were coming from, but they've evidently stopped doing that. And
I'm sure they can, but they're probably not supplying that information.
yeah, they may have had some legal issues about that.
And it's lately, right? It hasn't been going on for a long time, right?
No,
kind of concentrated in the
right. It spiked. I think the first that it looked like it was happening was in early November, and all of a sudden, the spike went up, and it sort of continued. But yeah, go ahead, Lynn.
Possibly something they were looking for is the ability for anyone to transact business on the site. For example, to pay your bill, so that would reveal, if they wanted to dig further, information about people's accounts and so on.
Financial, yeah.
There is nothing. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Absolutely nothing.
There are no credit card information. There's no bank information on the site.
Okay.
So we're pretty benign. So
Fortunate.
yeah, no, I think, and again, the support people indicated there was no breach of our internal part of the website that they were aware of. So I don't think we have to worry much. I mean, I thought the one thing that could happen was we all started getting emails from Indonesia, but so far that doesn't seem to have happened. So
I'm wondering if it's something, a fluke of some sort, where if there's just one person that's looking, and the entire village or whoever is in that IP address or uses that IP, it just kind of shows up that there's that many. It's just, but it's not that many actually. It's the way the information's being transferred and things. It seems like a fluke to me. It seems like there's some kind of, I doubt there's that many individuals. I don't care how much interest there is in Wildwood Springs, that they would all be all of a sudden starting to, infiltrate, so to speak.
I thought it was
So-
maybe our photos that were attracted to.
Yeah, because I know Tom goes to Indonesia all the time. He's always Singapore and Bali and all that kind of stuff. And I'm sure he uses the website a lot. And I don't know. I mean, it could be, like I said, it could be something just by the way the internet service providers there handle the connections or something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Where it could be just one or two people, and it looks like it's that many different people, but it's actually just happens to be the whole village looks when one person looks.
Yeah, no, I think that there are some, I mean, I think it's hard to understand how some of those work. So
Anyway,
I think one of the other things in the report was that the page hits were about how we had been expecting them. Let's see, where did I put that? I think there was yeah, this chart here, I think I put in the report that the homepage is getting most of the hits. The forms, we actually have two forms here, and the first form is the one that they're using at the office. And so this is the one that, it's interesting that one of the things I can do is there's a little icon here that I can actually go see the page. So it's kind of nice to be able to see exactly what's going on. And I can see that this form page is the one that they're using at the office to assign things. Somebody calls in a work order, and then they determine who needs to do that. So that's that form. The other form below it, down in number 4, is the one that we users use to submit a work order or to submit a request for whatever. And so that's used. Announcements are being looked at. For sale for rent, unfortunately, we don't have anything right now for sale or for rent. The what's new is being used, the maps are being used, the resident directory and the floor plans are the top 10 areas that people are taking a look at. So that's sort of that report. I don't look at it on any regular basis, but every once in a while it's kind of interesting to see what's going on. Go ahead, Lynn.
Whose job is that area of the website that includes sale and rent?
Oh,
is that on the?
I think
that's-
James weren't you kind of looking after? No, I guess I am.
Is that in the office piece, Chris?
No, it's really simply a matter of any of our owners can put something in there, and all I do is approve it. And so it's pretty straightforward. The biggest issue is usually that the photos, you can put about I think up to 15 photos in that area, and sometimes people have trouble getting photos. Jane's had that that happen with other photo issues. You got to be careful that the photos aren't too big. And so I have had people that needed some help on that, and usually I just have them send the photos to me and I put them in. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, we spent a lot of time on the About menu, which was, for a large measure, focused on getting people interested in buying here. And that sale for rent is on the About menu, so that's a piece of that.
Right.
Have we made an effort to contact realtors? For example, Debbie Dial is a serial representative of buyers and sellers here. And there are 2 or 3 others, but there are many. I mean, and I'm thinking if we could get those people to get the owner to give permission to put it on our site and just put their link on there to their listing. So we wouldn't have the responsibility of the photos ourselves. But that, you know, I think this is all a piece of kind of improving, you know, people's knowledge of the development, but also, you know, being more complete in our information. It's to see no listings when, if you go online, there's 10 or 12.
Yeah.
Something's missing.
I know Debbie knows that it's there because she's had places that she was representing, she's had put on there. I don't know, you know, if she's got some right now, but I know at least one thing that's going on is things are selling quickly, and so they aren't worried about putting them on the website.
Yeah.
But I do think it would be behoove us to try to send something out to owners about the possibility of having it put on there, and particularly renting. I think that certainly some people have been very successful about renting their unit by putting it on there. I know Frank Frangiargelli has rented his place with that, and so other people have too. And I know one of the people that put a for sale up, she had her name on it. This was a daughter of someone who had lived here and had passed away, and she contacted me about 2 days later and said, "Oh, take my name off of it, put the realtor's name on it, because I've been getting too many phone calls." So that's the way things are right now. So we can definitely let people know that there's that opportunity to put your place up for either rent or sale, because I do agree that we need to have something there.
I think all we can do is keep reminding owners to keep it in their minds, because there are just too many realtors.
Yeah.
And the reality is, right now, I think there is one listing on a multiple list for Wildewood 1.
Yeah. Okay, we'll definitely we'll get something out to owners on that, or put it in the announcements as well. The next thing on the agenda is I did add something to the profile. I sort of jumped the gun on this, and I really shouldn't have probably done it yet. But what I did was I added an item to our profiles, which says allow the association to send notices by email, and it's simply a yes or no. The board discussed this at their last meeting and at their workshop. I know, Roger, you've been involved in this discussion, and you suggested to John that he needed to have some way of letting new owners know that they could, that we need permission for us to send out notices to people and replace mailings. Basically, is at least it would replace all those who opt in to having notification by email. Pretty similar to the way, you know, banks and credit cards and other institutions ask if you want to have your information sent by email or sent by regular mail.
Paperless.
Exactly. And so I thought, again, I think the board's probably going to vote on this on Monday. Does that sound right?
Yeah, I think we
Yep,
are.
yep.
And John has already begun with as he's been interviewing new folks, and I know he was interviewing some this week, having them sign a permission in part of the packet when he meets with them when they first come in. So we're moving in that direction. And if the board approves it, which I expect that they will, then there will be a document that goes out with the annual mailing, the annual required mailing for the annual meeting, which will ask people to sign and return a document that gives us permission. And then Maggie will have to log all of that stuff. But I think we're moving in that direction, and John's in favor of it as well.
Right. And like I say, I jumped the gun a little bit by putting it in the profile already. But I think that one of the ways we could do it in lieu of people returning a letter in the annual meeting mailing is simply going into their profile and choosing yes or no.
Yeah, but I think, Chris, there's a requirement that there be a signature on file.
Ah, I see. Okay. Well, it will be easier for us once we get those signatures and once we get those permissions to go into the profile, make that change, and then we can easily filter our email lists for the people that have said yes to that question. So, and one of the things that we probably need to do is, I don't know whether we need to put a disclaimer on this or not. We might have to. I'm not sure what the legalities are.
And I think credit, it wasn't my idea. Someone sent that to me. Lynn, was it you that sent me that email?
Yes.
I thought so. That made that suggestion that I took then to John and the board.
Thank you, Roger. You're moving at lightning speed. I thought this would be circling around and going back to committee and going through John and so on. Thank you.
Well, thank you for the suggestion.
Well, and it should save us money.
Yes.
Well, the impulse to do that was the day I got the budget mailing with 75 cents postage and, you know, all that money for Xeroxing and mailing and labor. Right. I thought, why are we doing it?
I know from my perspective, I much prefer to have it online. It's easier for me to store it. If it's in a piece, if it's a bunch of papers, who knows where they end up? I mean, I can't find half the stuff I have on my desk. So I can find stuff on my computer.
And most of the time, if there's something that you want in front of you, you can print out a page or two or something, you know, if you just want to reference it while you're online or something, you know.
Right. Well, I'm glad we're moving forward on this. Thanks, everybody. The next item has to do with searching the website and converting the documents. We've had this on the agenda for a while. One of the things that I did was I guess I have to go back to sharing the screen here. One of the things I did was I went into the documents area here, and I added, we have the association documents in that area. But what these are all PDFs. These are all things that you have to click on to get to what you want. What we found out as far as searches go, it has to be on this page. It has to be like this. Here's I did it for the articles of incorporation. So it has to be the whole document on this page. And I was able to basically copy and paste the articles in there. Now, one of the things I kind of goofed up on is I didn't keep the formatting. And so I had to kind of go in and reformat it. But this is the articles of incorporation that we have right now. I believe the last time this was updated was in November of 2011 or sometime in 2011. And I was able to, as we're going to have to do with many documents like this, I have to cut and paste the signature. So I did that. It was Bob McDivitt's signature. I think I'm going to go back and make this a little bit bigger. I didn't mess with it as much as I could. But here's the important part, and that is that now this is searchable. If you put a search in for any of the things here, I think I did one for indemnification. You're going to find every place in this document that indemnification is mentioned. So this is what we are probably going to have to do with any document that we want to be able to search. I would basically recommend that we do this with the association documents, but not every document. I mean, we would have literally hundreds and hundreds of pages. And I'm not sure that makes sense. And I think the first step in doing it, now the articles were in pretty nice shape. So I don't know if they'd been retyped or what, but I do think the first step is to take association documents and have Jane, if you were still willing to do this, Jane, retype them, because some of them have been scanned in and they're not very nice.
I'm not.
Okay. Okay.
That's a lot of retyping
Yeah.
and legalese, which would then have to be proofread and recertified. I think you can OCR it because you're working from the original, and it's not going through a person, i.e. me. And also it's a lot of typing.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead, Lynn.
I think we should avoid that option simply because legally, those documents must be precise. And so we really have to rely on what the lawyer gave us. Now, has anyone gone back to the lawyer and asked for those documents in Word form?
I mentioned it to John, but I haven't heard that we've got those, that they have them in Word form.
Yeah. I mean, it seems to me that that's the only way to do it. And then ourselves process it through Adobe Acrobat. Unless they can tell you they have PDFs, searchable PDFs, they may have those available too. I mean, why not? If it's a lawyer's office, yeah. But I agree with Jane. I think that option's off the table, in
Okay.
addition to all the hard work.
Um,
But I think all we really need to do, at least initially, is those documents that the association is required that the owners have. And there's 3 or 4 of them. I mean, some are quite long, of course, but that's it. You know, they don't have to, owners aren't required to have the floodplain survey or
Right.
heaven knows, you know. So if we go there, go to the lawyer, get what we can.
The original document is here. At least the original document that I had to put on the website. So for example, here's the articles of incorporation that I had put up some time ago. Now, I don't know who prepared this document, because it does have a few little quirks. You notice that the letters don't line up here. Here's an indent that's missing. Here's another one that's not indented. So I again, I don't, you know, I don't know if this was prepared by us or by the law office or who. But I agree, we probably should be careful about reproducing these. And some of them you can tell. If you take a look at the, I don't know which ones are which. Yeah, this is this is references that I believe are from the court on it, and you can tell that it's been scanned. And so I think it's going to be difficult, not impossible, but difficult to OCR it.
Yeah.
It's got stray marks on it, and it doesn't have really clear text. So, but I mean, that's it can be done. And so I would say that the bylaws, the declaration, rules and restrictions, and maybe association FAQs would be the ones that we wanted to do.
And you'd have to, Chris, you'd have to remember too, that some of those documents go back several years and they have several amendment pages that would have to be attached at the end. And they're also filed with book and page.
Yep. And I think I've kept up to date with those. I think when we've had amendments in the past few years, I've put those updated documents are the ones that are on there. I shouldn't say that that's completely accurate, but I've tried to ask for an updated document if amendments have been made from the office. And generally I get a scanned copy of it. So. And again, I don't know if the lawyers are preparing any of that. I mean, I think they are. I'm guessing they are.
I would think they would have to be, because they're the ones that have to file them.
Right. So they should have, you would hope they would have a digital copy.
Maybe it's a matter of, we're going to have to pay to get them.
Well, It may be.
Pay the attorney to prepare them,
Yeah.
to get them to us, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, they charge for pretty much everything these days.
Yes. That's why John doesn't even like to call them, because every phone call is a
He's pretty reluctant, isn't
quarter to a half an hour charge.
I remember being billed by a lawyer in 15-minute increments. And I
Mhm.
thought that was a little over the top, but they all do it now.
That's what they're doing every 15 minutes. You're right. Or
Yep.
part thereof.
Yeah, or less.
Yes.
Okay, I will see if there's a way to get those, and then we can sort of explore putting each one of them on a separate page. So it would mean that we would have, I think it's still useful to have a list like this where someone can download the document, because this is the way they would do that. But then we would have, in addition to that, we would have a page which had that particular document on it. And it would mean that some of those pages are going to be pretty long, but that's okay. I don't think that's a big problem, because again, that would make that document searchable. So we would have a number of additional things on this page. I don't know whether we'll have to worry about how long this menu is. I'll have to see. I don't think it matters. We'll find out. The next item. The next item is making Zoom videos more useful. I took the advice, your suggestions from the last meeting to heart. I haven't done it here, but basically what I did was the last board meeting, and I did it to some extent at the workshop, is make it a speaker view. And that I think is appropriate. I can still see everybody up here. One of the things that if somebody is for example, the chairman is speaking, they do need to see if somebody else is raised their hand or wants to speak. So they need to have this view up. I don't know whether you can see this or not, but I have all of you in a smaller view up on the top of my screen. And one of the other things that I did was, you might notice that my name is IT Chair Chris Carey. And so what I did was, at the last board meeting in November, I did start to change everybody's who was on the board, and put a B or BD, I can't remember which way I did it, in front of their name. And the only trouble is, with 15 board members, that takes a while. So I'm probably going to ask people to do it themselves. You can all change your identification on here by going up to the little box next to the mute button. And one of the possibilities in there is to rename yourself. And so I'm probably going to ask the board on Monday if they would just put a B in front of their name, so that people know that they're a board member.
Chris, that's really a good idea. And I think we have to push Sue to make sure she asks people to do that. We do that in our church presbytery meetings, where those that are permitted, that are elected and permitted to vote, have to put a designation in front of their name so they know who is voting and who's not voting. And it's a requirement if you're attending the meeting to do that. So I think that would also help whoever's running the meeting know who can speak and who can't until the end.
Yeah, I agree. And again, Sue has to do a little better job of identifying people that call in. We had a caller in, and I'm not sure who it was. It's really not my job to ask. It's really more the chairman's job to ask who the caller is and have them identify themselves. Now, the one thing we can do is if somebody does call in and identify themselves, I can go in and change their name so that we know who they are. I think I did that at the last board meeting with Tammy, so that we knew, which one was Tammy.
You did, and I kept trying to ask every time I saw a new phone number pop up for that person to identify themselves when I ran the meeting.
Yeah. You did a good job, Roger.
Thank you.
Yes, yes, you did.
And I think that it's for whatever reason, and I didn't address it, I probably should have. At the workshop this past week, there was feedback, and I'm not sure where it was coming from. I know Tammy's light kept coming on a lot, but I think that there was some feedback. I think it was Dick Picola, but we probably need to mute everybody and eliminate that until they want to speak.
Now, you see how I can raise my hand?
Yes. And
Now,
people should learn how to do that.
if we educate the users on Zoom that you can raise your hand and flag hand raise, and I mean, at in-person meetings, they used to have that little triangle card that they used to stand on edge,
Right.
and that's, well, so I mean, maybe we can encourage people to use the
Yeah,
raise and lower their hand.
that's a good idea, George. One of the other things, no, that was about it. As far as, I do think that having the speaker view like this is works better. I like it.
Chris,
What do you
go ahead, Lynn.
I just spot checked the board meeting this morning, the video, and it seemed to just react to sound, which I guess is the principle of what becomes full screen. But is there a way to mute the phone call sound?
Yes,
Because we kept getting a screen that had the phone number on it.
exactly. And the only issue is that you have to explain to the phone caller that if they want to unmute, they have to do a *6. And so, but yes, we almost have to mute phones. And so, and one of the issues is that there's no way to tell them other than verbally that that's the case. And so I think we can encourage Sue to mention that at the beginning of the meeting, that we're going to mute, and that if you're on the phone, you need to go with *6 to unmute, because they can't see the chat box where we could tell everybody that.
I think everybody should be muted unless you raise your hand.
I agree. Yeah.
So Chris, maybe we should do a quick brief outline of protocol for everybody's going to be muted. Here's how you unmute. If you want to speak, there's a raise hand option underneath the reactions at the bottom of your screen,
Right.
and give everybody that right up front at the start of the meeting. Now, it's going to be interesting to see where we go, because as you know, we're talking about going back in person with the board meetings in January and trying to do some kind of a hybrid meeting, which I saw you sent a link to that I looked at this morning.
Yes, I'm not sure. I think it's useful to have that protocol uh, set up and distributed to people, because I think as I think you pointed out, George, we probably want to continue to Zoom meetings for the benefit of people that aren't able to be present. And so I think we'll be doing Zoom for the foreseeable future.
You do need cooperation of who's ever running the meeting or the president. You need their cooperation in order to facilitate the Zoom along with in-person meetings. And as far as I think we should start with Zoom etiquette. As far as everybody being muted, you raise your hand when you want to speak, but the person running the meeting has to want to do this. Now, I mean, for a year, once the virus started, we went a year without meetings at all because they were scared of a Zoom virus. They weren't worried. They're not worried about the virus. They're supposedly worried about a Zoom virus. But I fully think that without the cooperation of the leader, it's going to be a mess.
Yeah, I think you're probably right, George. Well, that brings up, I think, the whole idea of this this video. I guess where did I put the here? Zooming at a live meeting was our next agenda item, and I sent that video out. I was really glad to find that, because I was very concerned about how we would do a Zoom at a live meeting. I couldn't see how that was going to work. And Roger, you said you saw the video. Did anybody else get a chance to look at the video? The gentleman lays it out in step by step what needs to happen, and it's somewhat complicated. The good thing is we have most of the equipment that we need. We have a projector, we have a screen, so that we could show the people that are Zooming in to the people in the room live. We would also need, and we have, a camera. I haven't tried having the camera attached to a computer so that you could see, that the Zoom people could see the camera view on Zoom. And that means that the camera has to be able to feed the information from the camera to a computer, to a laptop. So that I've got to try that, see if it works. The one piece of equipment that we don't have is a device which would be able to have a microphone and a speaker in it that would allow the audio to be in a larger room. The audio would be attached, I think, by Bluetooth to a computer that's on Zoom, and so it
John does have a
allows.
microphone, Chris.
Pardon?
John does have a microphone, but he doesn't have the speaker part. The microphone that he has attaches to the laptop, and it is amazing. We'd used it once in the office, and the people on the Zoom could hear anybody in the room speak. It was just a little box that sat on the table. It was no bigger than your cell phone, like this,
Right.
and it attached, and the microphone, that was excellent because everybody on the Zoom could hear anybody, no matter where they were in the room. They didn't have to be near that computer. So the missing piece is the Bluetooth speaker.
Okay. Well, that would be a good thing to do. If we don't have a device like that, then it is difficult to. It was difficult when John wasn't using that. If somebody wasn't in front of the computer, you couldn't hear them. If they were, John would sometimes be just right off to the side, and we couldn't hear him. So that was an issue. I think, didn't that device come from Barbara?
Somebody donated it, yeah.
I thought
Somebody
it was
bought it
hers.
and gave it to the office.
So, yeah, you're right. It worked, and it would be fairly easy to get a Bluetooth speaker, which is
Chris,
what the guy in the video suggested he used initially.
how well do you think it would work if we were setting our sound system up in the room, if we laid a microphone on a laptop or next to the laptop speaker?
Yeah, no, I think that would, I think we probably want to have that speaker or that microphone system if we're at the church.
Oh yeah, for sure. But could we put just a microphone and have one of the microphones right next to the,
Yeah,
you know, with the
why
microphone
not.
pointing down onto the computer speaker instead of at the president?
Yeah, no, I think that makes sense. What I actually would sort of be more comfortable with was the suggestion that Marv Howard made at the workshop, that we do it in the office first rather than the church. It's just going to be much easier logistically to do it in the office and limit it to, you know, only what, maybe 10 or 12 people.
Well, I'm sure there are board members that would volunteer not to be in the office, myself.
Yeah,
And
it sounded like
I'm sure John West has no interest in showing up at the actual meeting. I can't speak for everybody, but I'm sure there's others that would say, hey, look, the people that want to meet in person, that's great. And I'm not against personal meetings. What I am for is that to have a Zoom option. I think Zoom is very important. And for all the meetings or the committee, like what we're doing now. And I don't need so much having visual. I mean, it's nice, but if I was to just put this phone in my pocket, I can still listen and hear everything that's going on nice and clear of what's going on in the meeting and who's speaking and everything else. So I want to continue the Zoom. I'm going to try to keep that going. It seems to be some resistance. They're saying if you go in person, you can't have Zoom or something. I don't know. I think we can have both.
Yeah, I would agree. It sounded like Monica might not be willing to go to a live meeting as well.
Probably,
So-
right.
So
I'm not speaking for anybody. The only reason I mentioned John West, he was the one that kept pushing it back. And we weren't even supposed to discuss it until January, but now we're starting in January. So that it seems it's a done deal.
Well, it'll be interesting. The board will be discussing this at the Monday meeting, and again, I guess for whatever, I would hope that the idea of having it in the office meeting room is a possibility. John was having to determine whether or not we could even get Wi-Fi at the church. and whether the Wi-Fi, one of the things that in the video, the gentleman points out that one of the most important things for having a hybrid meeting is having good Wi-Fi or having good internet. And so if you don't have enough internet capability, then doing a hybrid meeting will be very difficult. I think at the office we have Wi-Fi that should be pretty good. I mean, I would hope anyway. I know it's been improved since we sort of made Spectrum aware of the fact that they were promising us more than what they were actually delivering. I think though, I haven't checked the speed at the office, but I think it's probably decent. So hopefully that potentially gets brought up at the meeting. It is doable, and so we'll see. The next item has to do with assignments. I sent the assignment sheet out again. So if people get a chance to take a look at various parts of the website, I know I'm still trying to catch up on some of the committee things that need to be put on the website. And then as we turn into the new year, there's a fair amount of work that I need to do to archive the 2020 meetings and agendas, and then move into 2022. And generally, I've been only keeping one previous year on the page for each committee. So I've got to go in and start moving stuff around a little bit. We do keep everything from previous years on the website, because I really look at the website as a depository for documents. And so we don't delete things. We simply put them in an area where it's a little not quite as easy to get to, but they're there.
Chris, since we're talking about the assignments, just briefly, I was assigned the board, and for the most part, the board lists the menu, describes and supplies the information that's being advertised, except for the monthly updates. I think we can just eliminate the monthly updates. That was something that started for a while, and there hasn't been any updates in a while. If you want to delete that, you can. If the other committee members want to look at it first, but it's pretty much not useful.
Yeah, Leslie Jacobs was doing it, and since Leslie's no longer on the board, she hasn't pursued that, and so I can do that.
I think it's lost its viability since there was such an argument about the information she was posting.
Well,
Yeah,
I think I think with the Zoom, and if we keep up the Zoom, there's really no need for it. People can attend the meetings if they want to. They can read the minutes, read the agendas, and they can watch it on video. We don't need somebody's commentary, I mean, it's something that I feel we could just do away with.
I agree.
Yep. Okay. New photos. Lynn mentioned that perhaps we ought to take a look at the photos we have on the website, and that would mean taking a look at some of these things here, which are across the top. is if we go to our homepage, we have these photos here that we can scroll through. So it probably is time to take a look at these and see if we can update them and put some new ones in. Any suggestions?
How hard is it to change them from time to time?
I haven't done it in a while. It shouldn't be that hard. I think I had to, the ones on the top here, the big ones like this one, I think I have to submit those to the support people and they have to make the changes. But I think some of the other ones, well, on the top of every page, there's these, the biggest issue with these, and I think I have to submit these, is that they are,
Panoramic.
they're sort of an odd size. They're really wide. And so when you take a photo, you have to be sure that you're kind of looking at it from that perspective. But yeah, I think we can certainly do that. This one didn't come out very well. You can see it's kind of stretched. And so if you have any suggestions for a photo that you would really like to see us put up, please let me know. The last time we tried to have, I think Beth West, Barb's, oh, that's not her last name. She's Barb West's sister, Beth, and she's a pretty good photographer. I asked her to take some photos, but a lot of them didn't work out as well as I had hoped. I think we didn't we use one or a couple of yours, Jane, or Rob's?
Yeah, we specific picture, trying to get far enough back so that they would fit in the shapes. I think you gave me the numbers and I fooled around with them on Photoshop and got them. What I found was it was difficult to get far enough back to get enough width to actually get into those, to make the picture fit in the long skinny ones particularly. I can see that there's a few of those on that are the more that have more height to them that I took, and I remember taking some of them. I think we did it as a trial and then COVID came along and I haven't been there in 2 years. So
Right.
That's where we stand.
Right. Well, what we may do is see if we can try a few new ones and may have you try to doctor them a little bit.
You have to have a camera that will take pictures with a lot of pixels in them. Just from my experience, just a quick shot on your phone isn't going to do it, because you do have to manipulate the cropping so that you get the right dimensions and shape.
Right.
Yeah. So like I was actually using one of Rob's cameras when I took the pictures in order to have high enough quality so that I could work with them. It was Lynn, you had something to say?
I'm wondering if you could put a number on that number of pixels?
No. I
Okay.
can't.
I
mean,
think
some
I
phones
may
can
be able
also-
to. I may be able to
Okay.
get that information from the
Okay,
from the
the other
website.
question, excuse me, the other question is, is it less complicated to change those images on the homepage rather? The ones
Yes,
that
because they
become a
don't
slideshow.
need to, yeah, they don't need to be stretched as much.
But you could do them yourself, Chris, and post them, or do they have to go through?
I have to send them to them, but they don't have too much problem with that.
Okay,
But you can see these aren't stretched
yeah.
No.
like the other ones were.
Yeah,
mean,
that one was
some-
right at the back of my house. And I did have to manipulate them into the right size before I sent them to you and you sent them to the
Right.
folks.
Right. But these are easy, a little easier to do. I think I took some of these and I pretty sure I used my phone.
Yeah, that one in particular, is mine, I know.
Yeah. So
You might-
I suggested to Lynn, where is it? That we might want to use, where did I put it? I have a lot of photos. Oh, this was a Wildewood. We could put this one up. One of our resident coyotes.
Yeah. The website in one of those slots because it's totally the wrong shape.
Yeah,
Well,
probably better
maybe-
to put up one of the otters.
Maybe if you
Also-
spoke to them about this, maybe I'm sure they're aware of the situation. Maybe they have a quick fix where we'd be able to not have to worry about manipulating photo so much. Maybe there's something that they could do or we could do to make
I
it a
think-
little easier. They must be aware of the situation.
Well, what they do is they simply give us the parameters. And they say, this is if, when you submit a photo, this is the size it needs to be. And so, and in general, the ones on the homepage are not all that crazy. The ones on the other pages, those are tough to do. I had this wood stork. I don't know where I put it. I sent it
That
to
was
Lynn,
nice shot.
where we had these wood storks and they're all standing down by the big lake and there's a no swimming sign next to it. I thought that was good. That was something that the Wildewood, that Sue Michael Barrett took, or she had it posted on Wildwood Wonders, and I thought it was a great photo. So we can definitely start taking a look at that. I have a new phone, so I can take I think higher resolution photos, and so it's got like 4 lenses on it. It's got all kinds of stuff. All these new ones have lots of capabilities. I haven't learned enough how to use it yet. That's the only problem. Any other items? If not, then the next meeting would be scheduled for January 28th, the last Friday in January. I think we're probably okay. Sometimes we've had an earlier meeting in January. We've had 2 meetings in January, and I'm not sure we need to do that this time around. If anybody thinks we should, we can, but otherwise I would suggest that we do January 28th. Sound okay?
Good.
Anything else? I will post a video of this meeting fairly soon. It's easier to do than when I was posting videos that we took with the camera. The camera would take forever to load into YouTube. And to actually do the editing from the camera to a usable file. I would sometimes be 6 or 7 hours involved. I mean, I didn't have to stay at the computer that long, but it would take that long for all the stuff to take place. With Zoom, the file will be available pretty much when I end the meeting. And generally speaking, I can have that on YouTube within 15, 20 minutes. That really doesn't take long at all. And it seems to me that the quality is pretty good. So that's why we're posting videos more frequently.
I looked at last month's this morning too. I didn't watch the whole thing, but I thought the quality was very good.
Yeah, and you can hear, and so
Yep.
Right.
it just seems like another reason perhaps to continue to want to Zoom meetings is because of the recording. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, thanks, everybody. Really
Merry
Thank you,
Christmas,
Chris.
everybody.
Merry Christmas. And
Yes,
Thank you, Chris.
yes. Really
you.
appreciate your participation. Thanks, everybody.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Bye now.